I wanted to turn now to the Palestine protests on campuses. You copped a bit of flack for saying the terms from the river to the sea and intifada meant different things to different people. Josh Frydenberg said after this that the Education Minister needed an education and you needed a visit to the Holocaust Museum, and you later pulled away from those comments. What's your reaction to the backlash you received over that, including from Josh Frydenberg?
Oh, I count Josh as a friend, and I take everything that Josh says on this point very, very seriously. I should have been clearer in those comments. I've made that point clear. Any words that stoke fear or intimidation are intolerable in our universities. I think I've called out the fact that anti-Semitism, whether it's in our universities or anywhere else in the country, is intolerable. And you see the poison of that leaking out into our community at the moment. There's always going to be a place for peaceful protest. You know, we're not Russia, but there's no place for hate or for intimidation or for anti-Semitism, whether it's at our unis or anywhere else. I think in the lifetime of our grandparents, we've seen the evil that can wreak. And the fact is, I think Josh made this point, Jewish students have made this point to me as well. It's not just that they feel unwelcome at university at the moment, but they're being made to feel unwelcome, and that's not on.
Peter Dutton has called on the Sydney University Vice-Chancellor Mark Scott to resign over the protests on his campuses. What do you make of that call?
Well, what I would say is I want all university vice-chancellors to treat as their most important issue the safety of their students and their staff. That's got to be their focus. I made that clear in a letter, I think, on October the 11th, and I've made that point continuously ever since. To be fair, university vice-chancellors are making sure that their codes of conduct are being implemented, and we've seen evidence over the last few weeks of where students are facing disciplinary action, in some cases, some students being suspended or expelled. You know, what's not on is some of the things we saw in the last few weeks where students are basically doing a sit-in where other students can't get into class. I want more kids to go to university.
So you want
them to be able to
police
get
and
into class.
universities to intervene more there?
I want universities working with police, and I think that's what they've been doing.
Do you feel a bit compromised dealing with this issue on campuses given the high Muslim population in your electorate?
No, I don't. It's not people in my electorate that are encamped at universities. I guess the truth is people in my electorate are hurting. Just like many Jewish Australians are hurting with the rise of anti-Semitism and what happened on October 7. There's a lot of people in my electorate that are hurting for similar reasons. Those dead bodies that we see on television, for many Jewish Australians and for many Palestinian and Muslim Australians, they have names and their mum or their dad, their relatives, their family, friends, and that's why they feel that personally in a way that you and I guess, would find hard to really, truly understand.
I wanted to ask now about the nuclear issue, the renewables issue. What do you make of Peter Dutton saying he'll dump the target you had put in the Paris Agreement in 2022 upon coming to office? What are the possible ramifications from that?
I think Peter Dutton's made a big mistake. I think any Australian who thinks climate change is real would think now that Peter Dutton is a real risk. A risk to investment, a risk to jobs, but just a risk that Australia will do nothing to tackle climate change. Even Tony Abbott didn't pull out of a global agreement on climate change, and he thinks it's crap. This makes Tony Abbott look like Al Gore. No wonder that you had a couple of Liberal MPs in the last few weeks hot to trot to bring Josh Frydenberg back.
I don't know if too many were that hot to trot, but why is the government Karen Andrews was.
There are a couple.
Why is the government so convinced it's in the right on nuclear? Why no open mind to nuclear at some point in the future, as Tanya Constable just said, 2040 or whatever?
Because it costs a bomb. Because it costs a bomb. It costs a fortune. Wherever it's been rolled out or attempted to be rolled out around the world, costs have blown out. So it costs a bomb. It takes too long. And to be frank, it's about as popular as a mother-in-law on a honeymoon. Most Australians who look at this don't want a bar of it.
OK, Jason Clare, Education Minister, thanks so much for your time.
Good on you. Thanks, mate.